So my topic was insulation. So the types and uses. So students, after completing the lesson, should be able to define what heat loss is and why it's a big problem in our homes. They should be able to develop and formulate why heat loss in our homes is a problem and the amount of oil we need to heat our homes and what lasting effect that has on a global level. They should be able to recall different types of insulation, and then they should be able to select and support where each type of insulation is better for and justify their reason in accordance with the specs of the insulation type. So aeroboard found in subfloors or in cavities, and maybe your wool insulation in the attic, and then give reasons why their properties suited to this area. Students should be able to know and understand that cavity sizes and insulation in years gone by were very minimal, whereas now they're gone from 100 mil maybe in the 2000s to 250, 350 full fill insulated cavity space. And they should give a reason for this. Another big problem with thermal bridging and why they can use insulation to stop thermal bridging. They should be able to formulate solutions where there could be thermal bridging and then with the insulation on it. And students will be able to solve a U-value question and be able to use this to make their own homes better for heat loss and how they can bring down the heat loss in their house. So the way I'm going to teach this topic is I'll start off by teaching the insulation, and I will explain the different types of insulation with props that I'll have brought in from home. So a piece of airboard and a piece of attic wool insulation. And I'll ask the students, where have they seen these before? Now most of them will be able to say that they have seen them in their attic. Some might know that the airboard is in walls or else under floors from their own past experiences. But I'll explain why their properties allow this. This is concrete experience using closed cycle of experiential learning. So then the students can start to reflect why that you'd use wool insulation in the attic and airboard in the walls, such as the wool insulation is a good trapper of heat sources, so therefore it doesn't get out. And then they'll be able to justify why it's used on a building scale level, on a global level. And they'll be able to use I'll be doing an experiment where I test the different types of insulation, which I'll be doing online on a computer video and putting it up and getting them to formulate the results and tables and justify what the conclusion has of that experiment. So another way I'll start teaching the topic insulation is on heat loss is I'll start off teaching the topic by explaining what they notice about the classroom during the winter, the tech classroom. I will engage the students in a group activity where they will talk about what is the difference with the classroom at the start of the day compared to the middle and evening of the day. They will have to give reasons for their answer. An example of answer they could come up with is the room is freezing in the morning, then heats up during the day, but then cools quickly during the last class when the computers are not on. They will have to complete an activity where they lift the different insulation they have from previous experience, so the wool airboard, and I would give the students different maths equations which they will have completed before in their mathematics classes, and go through it in a peer learning activity to ensure they have a good foundation for completing the U value. So I do that before I'd have introduced to them to the U value at all. The reflective observation then. Students will start to reflect that the heat takes a long time to build up in the morning and then goes quickly in the evening when the computer is knocked off. And then as I as teacher will run through the important facts and properties to do with insulation and the way we portray them on the manual drafting question. So your hatch lines for airboard and your circle squigglies for your wool type insulation. They will understand the importance of cross-curricular links between maths and construction studies. Then abstract conceptualization. Students will start to think abstractly during a class group discussion on what could cause the room to slowly heat up and quickly lose its heat when computers are turned off. They'll hopefully come up with the reason why it takes a while to heat up in the morning and the computers are off. They take time to warm up the cold room as the warm air keeps escaping through the uninsulated walls, and in the evening when the computers and heating are turned off, the air is the hot air easily escapes because there's no insulation to trap it, and cold air comes in. They will start to realise the U value equation isn't just about maths, it's to see how much heat will be lost through a surface, and we can increase insulation adequately to reduce this to meet building regulations. I will put a video on YouTube which shows the different insulation in relation to heat loss through thickness and then no insulation. Then I will create a worksheet where the students will create a graph with the results gained from the video. This will back up the theory that the heat loss is a big problem in relation to the cost of heating. So they'll be able to conceptualize that because it takes longer to heat a room with no insulation because the cold air keeps coming in and the hot air keeps going out. They can relate this back to the amount of oil that is needed to heat the room. They will engage in a class discussion explaining why we should add more insulation to houses and explain the benefits over the cost. They will be instructed to do this through the U value question. So the way I do this is I give them a 350mm cavity block wall with no insulation, and I get them to calculate the U value and then get them to calculate the cost of heat lost, cost of heating that room. And then I get them to put in full insulation into that wall, or even half and then full, and they'll be able to compare their results and then give a good reason why the wall with insulated full fill insulation is the most economical. I think Club's learning cycle is a good way of teaching a topic because you can start off with their experience, then they can move on to formulating their own observations, then they can conceptualize it on a local and global level so they can give reasons why what they have learned works, and then they can experiment so they can prove what they have seen themselves. So that's what Club's learning cycle is. Now my assessments are mostly formative, but I will have to give some summative assessment in this. So but I will be, when I'm doing my summative assessment, I will give formative feedback afterwards along with a grade so that they can improve. So I'll be using peer assessment when correcting the U value questions during the class, because the reason why I do this is sometimes students won't ask a teacher questions to do with what they've got wrong, but they would ask their peers. I will be using teacher validation throughout the whole lesson. So even though that there is peer assessment going on and I'll be giving helpful feedback. I will be still going around just to ensure that students are understanding what they need to correct. So that's the way I'd do a class on installation.